Welcome troops to a new Rainbow Six video, and today we have Rainbow Six Concepts, and this is a small mini-series I'm going to be doing from time to time, talking about how we can improve the game in terms of operators, buffs, and things here and there that just make sense. Now today we're going to be looking at Mute, and Mute is a essential operator, quote unquote, sometimes when you're defending. He can basically make reinforced walls a nightmare for the enemy team, provided they don't have a Thatcher or even a Twitch, and a lot of the time he is a decently picked operator, but he's one of those operators, I guess, where he's essential, but you don't really want to use him too often. The MP5K is probably the least consistent gun I know. Maybe the FMG9 is maybe a little bit less inconsistent, but in comparison to most of the defensive weapons, it's really low damage. Sure, it's high rate of fire, but the accuracy really doesn't account for the low damage, and overall I think it's just a gun a lot of us tend to avoid. The shotgun is decent-ish, but in comparison to some of the other shotguns on the defenders that fire about 5,000 times per hour in comparison, it's too slow. It's a bit sluggish per pump action. The Super 90, the Spas 12, these are all examples of shotguns. Even hell, Capcan's shotgun is guns that just fire at such a significant rate of fire that even when you miss, you don't. Like, you can miss 6 times, but somehow you've killed the bastard on the window. And unfortunately, the players who use Mute just don't have that opportunity with the shotgun that they use. So, in terms of weaponry speaking, I think the MP5K can be improved with the inclusion of an ACOG sight. I feel like its fast rate of fire makes it a fantastic gun in some circumstances, but having that ability to switch into more of a burst fire mode and use it at long ranges, I feel as though would make it a much more multi-versatile weapon, and ergo a much more useful weapon across the field. The shotgun itself, I think, could do with a slight increase in rate of fire per pump. Now, you know, it's difficult to use the gun at the moment because you draw back on the pump and then you have to wait so long to fire the next round. The most of the time and in most occasions you are going to be dead before you get the second shot off. So maybe a slight increase in that timer just to bring it a bit more in line with some of the other defensive shotguns available, that would make a lot of sense. Now, the final buff I want to talk about is his actual devices. Now, the mute charges are fantastic, they've got a really good range, and they're very useful. There's plenty of them as well to allow you to basically reinforce everything you could possibly want to, and then mute it up to make it relatively impenetrable. But this is where I want to make a slight change. Now, I feel as though it'd be fantastic if Mute had the option to switch the mode in which the mute charge is in, maybe by tapping square once they've placed it. Now, at the moment, it only covers a certain circular perimeter, but I personally think it would be really cool if we could adapt the mute charge to be more suited for ceiling and floor panel situations. Now, there's lots of situations in certain rooms where the ceiling panel being muted would be fantastic. It would make life as a defender much less challenging in certain scenarios. So by placing the mute charge and then pressing a button on the mute charge once it's been placed, maybe the same button that you use to put it down, we could potentially be able to switch modes. And in switching modes, rather than going from a wide-ranging round circular shape, perhaps you could go to a more narrow cylinder shape but cover the up and down and the vertical as opposed to the horizontal. That way you can technically mute ceiling panels without having to worry about enemies blowing the charges. And obviously it's a really easy counter. If there's floorboards surrounding the charge, they can shoot through the floorboards to try and take out the mute charge, or of course if it hasn't been reinforced they could just shoot straight through and try and take out the mute charge that way. So it adds a little bit of ingenious, and I'm sure it would make for some interesting situations. I feel as though at the moment ceiling panels are one of those things that kind of make life too difficult for defenders in certain situations. Now, buffing Mute indirectly in allowing him to do this and directly buffing him by allowing him to change his mute charge mode would be really good. I feel as though it would increase his use across the game and all in all just make him a much more versatile and useful operator. I feel like Jaeger is a good example of an operator who has a piece of equipment which is fantastic to use in a lot of situations, but also has the 416 gun to boot, which is an awesome weapon, especially at ranges. And I feel as though bringing Mute in line to the likes of him would be a really good way in making him a more selectable operator. So guys, that's about it for this video today. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below for this little Mute buff. Is this something you would be interested in? Please let me know. It's been me, the Tactical Brit, as always. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you again soon in another video.